help me do so and to become involved in this effort. The second issue I want to talk to you a little bit about is medical marijuana. And again, I'm not going to insult your intelligence because I know you're well studied on these issues. But we currently have in the United States 16 states that allow for medical marijuana. They each have varying programs and regulations and so on. But those 16 states are a telltale sign of what is coming. Likely, at least 15 more states will have proposed legislation this year to allow for medical marijuana. There is little doubt that this is not being done, not only for the medical benefit, but also to position these states towards legalization/regulation of marijuana. Now, the third issue, which I want to talk about because I'm moving that way, is legalization and regulation. So I want to talk to you all a little bit about being members of NORML. And I'm going to assume that each of you are advocates, am I correct, of marijuana. How many people here are advocates for legalization? So everybody here, okay, that's what I want to confirm, you never know. Okay, let me explain something. And I think this is why oftentimes I'm a little more effective. When you approach an individual and you say, hey, there's nothing wrong with it, it's this, and that, you are dealing with a mentality very similar to mine prior to education. The thing that individuals are taught from the moment that they grow up in Kentucky is that marijuana is no different than cocaine, heroin, or oxycontin. They have a predisposed bigotry against marijuana. That doesn't make them bad, okay? In fact, they are trying to follow the rules. They are trying to be the best people that they can be in our society. But what they are being told is untrue. The greatest criticism you can place upon these people is that they simply have not done the homework for themselves. So as you advocate for your cause, remember that about them. I've sat in rooms with 50 to 75 women that range from 40 to 65, and I get all 50 of them before I walk out of the room because I'm not trying. These are just the facts as they are. So I'd like to remind you of that as you step forward. But the most important thing that I think you have to do is to dispense the fear that individuals feel in relationship to this subject. Number one, regulation is in fact very different than legalization. And for those of you that heard Gatewood, then you understand a tomato is legal. Anyone can buy one, anyone can eat one, you can do so at any age, anywhere you want. Regulation, on the other hand, places certain limitations as to that. So the truth is, regulation is the better choice for marijuana, all right? Now, I know some people would argue that everybody should just do what they want, but probably a way of dealing with it through a governmental policy, regulation is the way to go, okay? So that's pretty much what Gatewood advocates for. And let me explain something else too. A governor and lieutenant governor don't get to make the rules. This entire process is legislative. So no matter what we do, no matter how much I advocate, no matter how much I talk to people, this action must come from who? You, the people. So you can't work hard enough to get enough people involved in this issue. You got to get out there and you've got to be really strong about this. And you have to remember that in your presentation. And so that's really where this campaign is at. One of the things that I'm working really hard at is creating those paths for each of these issues to be observed. And here's what I know. Kentucky is mature enough and we're grown up enough to have this conversation now. No more lies. No more lies on the table. We want to know the truth. What is marijuana? So get your facts straight. Does it hurt? Is it the same? Do you know the statistics? You all understand the extraordinary cost that we're facing. 25% of our prison population are in there because of drugs. Many of those have been pulled over for miscellaneous pot, minor pot charges. They're 1,000 feet from a school, so they're in jail. Just utter and total injustice. Utter and total injustice. And you know who's paying for it? You and you and you and you, your parents. Okay? They're paying for that to happen. So we have to kind of come together. So my idea is this. First, the Kentucky Hemp Initiative, we affect change through public demand. We get enough members that are that active. Now, I want to tell you all something else, too. It took me 2 months to recruit 1,100 people. 2 months. I haven't even really punched at it. Okay? The second thing I would like to do is to form a council on medical marijuana and reviewing the possibility of bringing it to Kentucky. Open it up to the public for discussion and debate and discourse. I'm all for it. The third thing is looking at regulation. And the fourth is decriminalization. I think that would be the easier to accomplish, and it would lead us into the door. But so we have to approach this with a strategy, and we have to do so gently and in consideration of those people who have been deceived. So this is what we're really, really all about. I will tell you, every generation must earn its own freedom. Every generation must protect that Constitution. Every generation must hold strong to those amendments that give us our everyday rights to ensure that the government does not overstep its bounds in our personal lives. You have my assurance that I will not do so, that I will operate as your Lieutenant Governor with an open door policy. But I'm going to have to ask you to do your work too, which means you have to get up and you have to get strong, and you can no longer neglect the process of government. So that's what we mean. And I will take questions from anyone.